welcome to Prana Talk TV. I'm Shana Dean and
Elitom, El-amin.
Welcome everybody. We have so many exciting and good things to talk with you about today. Number one, the Breatharian brain and how our mind not only controls our thoughts, but controls our bodies, and even more than that, even more. So Elitom, what would you like to share on this topic to get us started?
All right, well, this is going to be real good because now here we go. We got this thing, we're dealing with the sciences of today, the modern sciences, and we got this thing called physics. Physics gave us our great inventions. Physics gave us, there's a physics of working out to build muscle. There's a physics of taking care of your teeth. We understand it now, you know, different processes on what we have to do in the physical to invent things and make things happen. Now, in the spirituality, we had some things that took place where many people say this is an illusion and stuff, and we understand that idea. However, but at the same time, we're living in it, we're traveling through it. And when you're dealing with this Breatharian journey, we're coming back. Now, this is part of spirituality and the physics, because we're not talking something different. We're combining them, we're bringing it together. Sort of like the dualists that say there's the material, then there's the spiritual, but in the Breatharian knowledge, we're basically saying it's all one and the same. So if it's all one and the same, I don't think we really need that word of an illusion again. We just got the power to create what we want to create. It's one and the same. We're moving physical matter. Now, in the Breatharian journey, we're also saying that the brain uses the most energy in the body. It's the organ that uses the most energy. So therefore, you got to figure out ways to give it its energy, because it's the process and input of our bodies. And not only that, we're living in it. We might as well go ahead and say it. Now, I know they got the new thing that says, you know, our heart is the second brain and our intestines is a brain. But let us turn it around for a minute. We understand what they're talking about. Basically, when they're cleaned out, you're going to work a lot better. The heart is pumping blood. Let's give it its process. And the digestive system is digesting energies. Let's give it its processes. But we're still using our brains, and we want to make it a lot sharper in the Breatharian journey. We want to give it its energy because it's a part of nature, and we've got to really look at it for what it really is. And it's the greatest phenomenon in nature as we're looking at it as being humans. It's doing so much for us collectively, individually, and this is where we're at. So let's take a look at it. And even when we use the word thought and mind, let's don't look at them abstract no more. They're still dealing with this gray matter of 3 pounds, right? And it's doing so much for us. This is where it's at. So let's take a look at it and really give it back its due and see where we go from there. What do you think?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So much happens up here. I mean, I'm always saying, you know, there's so much about our brain that we don't even know what it does. Science hasn't even really understood it. But on an energetic level, when we start lighting up the brain, putting our consciousness in different regions of our brain and really activating and lighting it, and I do this in some of my guided meditations that I take people through, that's when manifesting starts happening like that. You start increasing your magnetism. You start being able to create anything that you want, not just around you, but within you. And you can try it for yourself. Put your consciousness on your frontal lobes. Put your consciousness behind your head, right at the base of your skull, or play with sending it to your right hemisphere or your left, or right in the center where your pituitary gland is and your pineal gland is. You know, just really lighten it up. And
really lighten it up.
Lighten it up. Oh yeah. And I know, Elitom, in some of our Breatharian retreats, you guide people through some beautiful breath work where you're breathing in and out of the head, of the brain. That really activates it too. There's so many different things. Even if you're not doing any of those effort-based practices, if you're in silence meditating, you will notice that your brain will start to naturally activate. Have you ever noticed that? It will lighten up and it will start to shine. So just on a pure energetic level, taking away even what we're thinking and all the mind stuff that we've got going on all the time, which is also a creative force. But if you look at just on an energetic level, our brains are designed to be activated, and that's why they become activated in meditation.
Oh, absolutely. Now look at this now, see, and notice that I'm glad we're hitting this. The brain, we're looking at the physical part. It's physical, and we're taking a look at it. So I seen this one scientist said, well, they talking about it, can the brain tell us a lot about, you know, these other words we use, our mind and stuff like this. And this is real good that people are going into that, because like we said, it lights up. Thoughts are electricity. It can be measured. And instead of ignoring it, let's really go into it. Because what we're saying on the Breatharian journey is just like, for instance, when we talk about fasting. All right, let's just take that. Usually on the third or fourth day, a person's thinking changes. You know, the hunger decreases, the thirst decreases, all this other stuff, but you feel that up here that's taking place in the brain. And we look at all those medical things that's taking place where the stem cells get rebuilt, neurons get rebuilt. So by strengthening this computer outlet here, this is what we're doing. And like you said, we manifest stuff a lot quicker. This is where we're going to stop polluting it. And let's see what it can do. And then think differently. We got to put a new program in there. Nobody's arguing that. But the first, let's look at the physical hardware. Oh man, this gets good. It's sort of like when I was in the Navy, I was in communications and we had all this expensive equipment in there, you know, the computers and stuff. And there were certain rules that don't bring nothing in there when you're drinking without it fully covered, because we don't want to spill it on the equipment, it will damage it. Don't eat in that area. Don't smoke in that area because it'll mess up the wiring. So these certain rules was set in place dealing with electronics. So it's the same way with our bio machine. That's in nature. We know that smoking is a bad thing. We might as well say it to our hardware. We know that polluted air is a bad thing to this hardware. We know that some of the foods that most people eat, and I looked up a thing where somebody sent me, not to pick on America, but there's like 30 different things that's banned in other countries for people don't eat, that Americans just eat without paying no attention to it.
Right.
Messing up the hardware, which is the brain.
Yeah. And another thing that messes up the hardware is sugar. So
oh my gosh.
It really is a neurotoxin, and I know, you know, many cultures love sugar and desserts and things like that, and it's how we share love with and dessert. But you got to get the sugar out of your diet. Now, if you're lightening up your diet, you can you can replace it with things like dates and whatnot, you know, natural things. But getting the processed sugar out of your diet, and in general, lightening your diet. The heavier the foods, the more bogged down your brain will be. I don't know if you've ever eaten raw foods and then switched back to eating a cooked food diet, and all of a sudden you feel low energy, you feel depressed, you just feel kind of cloudy headed. All these things make a difference. So the lighter your diet, the more you meditate, all of that really helps the brain. So does exercise, by the way.
Exercise is one of the greatest things that you can do to transform and help the brain. Now, here we go, dealing with the physical hardware. Now, and what we're talking about, this is why I'm glad we're talking about this. Breatharian is a powerful vibrational knowledge. So we're coming at it through, we're connecting both, again, the energetic and the material. They must come together. Because that separation, what we thought spirituality was, I know a lot of people who say, I'm thinking through my heart, I'm doing this through my heart. But when you look at their physical body, they're sick, they're going through other things, pain and suffering. They didn't understand that take maintenance on your piece of equipment. Oh man.
And And also your underlying operating system in terms of what your underlying thoughts are. What is your view of the world? What is your view of humankind, mankind, womankind? What is your view of yourself, your general view underneath everything, right? That right there makes a huge difference. So my gosh, Elitom, we are talking about the physical, we're talking about the mental, psychological, and also energetic in terms of the brain. It's threefold.
Threefold. Oh my gosh. Threefold, that's the Trinity, all one and the same. And I seen a nice post today that said, yeah, I live in my mind, I live in my body, and I live on earth. That is very powerful. So of course you want to get that underlying, and what are you thinking about? What are you allowing yourself to think about? Because what we have to do, especially on this breatharian journey, is gain back the how should we say, gain back the space that's in our heads, the chatter that's going on. You want to become, you're in charge of that hardware.
Right.
So just like today when I went out, I was listening to affirmations talking about happiness as I'm riding my bike. I mean, this is awesome, but it was so, it just kept going in until it's second nature. And of course I was drawing all types of happy people around me, happy environment. See, we do create our reality, but you really want to start focusing now on your thought process. Just don't run away from it. Don't say you're not ready for it. We have to go into it, especially dealing on these levels.
Yeah, you really have to look at it. Otherwise, it's going to kind of run amok and you're not going to know, and you're going to be living an unconscious life, which is what we've all been doing all along. So now it's a time of being really conscious. And I know for you, Elitom, you are on a pretty consistent affirmation diet.
Oh man.
It's affirmation
so much.
all the time, all the time. And that's what you have to arrive to on this path, is being vigilant of your thoughts. I know we mentioned this in our last video, but checking yourself all the time. It's being aware of what you're thinking, what you're doing, what's your baseline program. And I'm talking about the baseline program because I've met people who do all kinds of healthy things. They exercise, they eat right, they take herbs, but they might have this background program of, oh, the world's coming to an end, or we're destroying the planet, or whatever it is. And because of that background program, guess what? They're always battling illness. So you can do all you want physically with the food and all of this, but if your background program is kind of negative, you know, or self-defeating, then it's gonna, you're gonna feel like you're kind of trying to climb out of a ditch and you can't quite get out, you know. So you really have to overhaul the whole program. What are your core beliefs, and how can you turn that into a positive? How can you be more optimistic? I can't tell you how important optimism is. That right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
It was just like a couple days ago, we were walking and I was talking to Breatharian Knowledge, and somebody said to me, that's something I've been watching you and how you just come out with it. But see, here we go again about repetition. This is how we learn as creatures, repetition. And when you're dealing with your thought process on how you want to think, you have to go in there and stay into that thought with repetition so you can know it. It can get into you. That right there is a diet, a mental diet on what you're eating, how you're talking, how you're expressing it. And you're going to become one with your thought process on what you just learned. But there's also like, if you hear somebody talking and you heard them over and over again, you say, oh, I heard that before. Well, you should embrace that, because right there, you'd have heard it so much, you know it now. That's a good sign. Man, I heard that so much, I know it. That's a good celebration, embracing the thing that you were repetitionally into. So also, not only on a mental level, even on a physical level, I'm walking with a group of people, but I've been on this path for 20 years. So I make it look easy. It's through repetition of staying in it. You understand? You in the beginning stages, yes, you're going to go through baby stages, in and out, choosing and picking, how to really know how to apply it, until you get stronger and stronger, until one day you'll decide whenever to where you just let things go, but it looks easy, second nature, and because it was through repetition. That's all it is. We're creatures of habits, repetition.
Exactly. And on the flip side of that, you can have repetitious negative thoughts or repetitious negative information coming your way with the news and everything else. So be very mindful of what keeps repeating, what messages you keep hearing over and over again in your life, right? So is it negative? Is it fear-based? How does it make you feel? And be really, really cautious of the way things make you feel. Not cautious, but I would say mindful. For example, I'm just going to use this as an example. I have a friend of mine who likes to draw. So she draws these cute little quails. And she's here in California with me. And she drew a picture of a fire and a quail putting out a fire. And I said, that's really great, but why don't you draw a picture of the fire extinguished with the quail? Because that's a different energy. So she did that. She did a little mixed media image of like the land is just smoking because it was just put out. There's no more fire and the quail's still there with water on it. And when I look at those two images, one with the fire and one without, the one without feels like this. It's like, oh, relaxing, it's cool, there's nothing going on. And when you just subtly look at the energy of those two images, you will feel a difference. So
you can feel the difference.
Yeah, so being really mindful of just subtle things, subtle images, messages that are coming through. Really tune in to how it feels on a subtle level within your body. That's key. And then you'll be able to direct yourself and your mind accordingly.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Now, look at this. Now, this is what they basically probably was talking about this as an illusion. Not saying things ain't real. See, our mind, our brains, let's go back to that word, is in nature. It is a great phenomenon, and that's where our center is at. That's what we're projecting the world from. Now, listen at this. Just because you see something that's formulating in the physical, okay, there's a fire going on. Even the way you're perceiving it. I like how you, just don't paint the pictures like this is supposed to happen. You don't have to fully accept something that's taking place. And your thoughts are so powerful in nature. This is where we're at. You can change the outcome.
Yes.
This is what spirituality was basically talking about. Our thoughts are so powerful, even in your day-to-day life. You look at a situation, just sit, don't take it as that's how it's going to go. Every day unfolds differently, and me through so many things, I just watch it unfold and it disappear. And that shows your spiritual growth right there when you know it's supposed to go good.
Yes.
That's a thought.
Yes. And like I was telling you before we started recording with the fires, we were expecting another round of lightning, which was supposed to bring more fires. So I just went right into meditation and prayer, like 24/7, pretty much. While I was asleep, even while I was doing other things, I was running this background program of no, rain, rain, everything's going to be fine. And we ended up not getting any lightning, and we actually ended up getting a little bit of sprinkling. So I didn't make it pour, but there was no fire. And I can't say I can take 100% credit for that, because I know there were a lot of other light workers working. But what I was telling Tom earlier is if everybody was on the same page with this, with the visualizations and really putting energy towards it, people like me wouldn't have to work so hard.
Yeah,
we would
absolutely.
have to be in meditation 24/7 trying to like solve the situation, you know. But we did it. And I know the light workers, because I know there's a lot of us around here who are putting in the solid work and the energy and the intentions. Not to say that we don't feel fear ourselves, right? That doesn't come up, but we kind of are working behind the scenes and we can work through it. So this isn't about ignoring the human emotions that come up. It's about what is your main operating system? What is your main belief system? The belief system is we're going to be okay. We're going to rise above this. We can transcend this. And not just with the fires, anything, even just if you want to become a breatharian, right? Rising above the idea that you need food, you know, just rise above any programming that limits you, because you know what? You are a limitless being. You are so limitless. And if you have any limiting belief system at all, no matter what it is in any area of your life, you need to transcend that.
Oh, absolutely.
And you do that right here. It starts here.
It starts here. This is the program. Getting this new program in it and really meeting it, sticking with it. affirmation, repetition, no matter what, sticking with it. This is what we're talking about. And you'll be surprised how lovely life will start going. See, even back in my infancy, I should say, during the church, and one day I started learning how to pray at church with the group and stuff, and it was real common feeling. Everybody's together, everybody's praying. And then I decided to make my own prayer altar at home. And even on that experiment, I woke up earlier, made sure I did me a good prayer, a good one, before I left home every day. And I seen how my day went a lot better than days when I was rushing and missed it, didn't do it. So it's just little stuff like that where you start really working with your mind, projecting those thoughts, wanting to be more positive. You understand? Your thoughts is like we said, they're electrical and they could be measured, and they're coming from this brain again. They're coming through the body. So this is how powerful we are when we start learning how to use ourselves and don't ignore it no more. Use yourself. You're a powerful man, a powerful woman, and there's so much going for you. We really got to put it all together, and let's use this word. Discipline is the vehicle. We're developing it. There's certain things you should start outgrowing if it's dumbing down your piece of equipment.
Right.
Wow.
So discipline on your diet, what you're eating, right? You want to stay really high vibrational with your diet, and also with your thoughts. And to go back and talk a little bit more about the energetics with the brain, I'm sure you've noticed, Elitom, and those of you listening and watching, is when certain people think certain things, you can actually feel the energy coming off the person, right?
Right.
So if you ever notice that you can be with someone, they don't even have to say anything, you'll know if all of a sudden the energy shifts because they think a negative thought or a real positive one. All of a sudden you're like, oh, nothing even has to be said. You just feel it. There's like a wave of energy that comes right off of them, and it affects you and it affects everything in the room. That right. The energy of a thought.
That's powerful.
That's powerful.
And that's what they call synergy. Because remember we said we got these electromagnetic fields coming off the body. There's that word again, electricity coming off the body, the magnetism. They're one and the same. And when you get with somebody else, your two fields are actually connecting. We're touching each other, even if you ain't physically touching. There's an energetic touching of thoughts, electricity taking place. This is why we pick up people's thoughts and everything, whether it's good or bad. You can feel each other's emotions. You can feel when somebody's angry, all of this stuff. So that's another thing that we got going for us on the Breatharian journey. When you start cultivating this good, happy energy coming off you, this higher vibration through diet and exercise, good blood flow, good heart flow, you're bringing out a stronger field to where when you meet a negative person or a person at a lower vibration, you're actually helping them. You're picking them up. A higher vibration by the rules has the power to transform a lower one or to run away or to go somewhere.
Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And do you know how this all starts? This starts with a choice. You simply decide. You just decide that you're ready to make a change and make a choice, and then you do it. The power is yours. The decision is yours to choose. What kind of a life do you want? What kind of a consciousness do you want? What kind of a body do you want? Choose.
Absolutely. And going back to that vibration to show you that everybody kind of notice. Like this evening, I took a bike ride, and I went a way that I normally don't go, but I trust myself. Wherever I go and end up, so be it. But I end up meeting this guy, him and his girlfriend, and as we were talking, we had a lot in common. We're going to hook up again. And he said out of his mouth, these are some good vibes. Our vibrations brought us together. Not just met him. It's a vibrational thing. Same things, this and that. Went to a location, we met, and I noticed this ain't no coincidence. Right, this is what's happening. This is how we're living it again. Your vibration, when you get it a certain way, you're comfortable with it. That's what type of people you're going to attract.
Right. So pay attention to what's happening around you. If things keep happening that feels repetitive, like, oh, I'm experiencing the same kind of feedback or same personality issues from various people, that's a time to take a look at yourself.
Yes, yes,
Or,
it is.
or if anything's happening in your life, anything at all, you walk down the street and you notice an event, take a look at yourself and say, how am I creating this? How, because you are usually the creator and everything around you is the mirror, even the things that you notice that are taking place. So always double check and say, what's going on inside? You know, what can I do to correct?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because, and I don't want to talk mythical in my own life. I also met some people who's at a lower vibration. They're nice. They just don't know the knowledge we know. But I'm wise enough too on when to back up on those type of relationships. You know, because they need time to grow and you ain't got time to pick up other people's baggage. So that's another thing to get people trapped because they feel that they have to, let's use that word. It's one thing to help a person, but you do not have to live their life. That is their situation that they created. So you got to know when to back up enough too. You don't have to take that. You're not responsible for that. So you don't have to beat up on yourself, feel, should I did more? Should I have to do this? You already done enough. So that's what a lot of people need to do because I see a lot of people trap themselves. They're this helping spirit, you understand? But even that can be a problem when you're helping so many people, but you're not helping yourself. You might have to take a look at that.
Right.
Because that's something going on with another part of your ego.
Right. And what you don't realize is when you're helping someone who's not able to help themselves, you're actually enabling them.
Right.
You're keeping them at the place where they are by trying to help them and rescue them. So it's actually not a service to you or them. The best thing you can do is live the best possible life that you can live and just set a shining example. And that's it.
Absolutely.
You know,
and see, like we're saying, well, like we're saying about this brain, this great phenomenon that's in nature. It requires a lot of energy. This is what we're saying. Oh man, so if it requires a lot of energy, especially being on a breatharian journey, and you want to go more to these levels, your whole job is to cultivate the energy going to that brain. Oh man, this is why they say don't eat nothing that if it's bad for the heart, it's bad for the gonads, meaning your reproductive system, because that's energy. And if it's bad for those, it's bad for the brain. It's going to affect the whole organism. So you're looking at everything at a higher level. You're getting used to it because at first you might not be able to handle that high frequency. That's why a person goes in and out. You know, it's like you came up for air in the water and then you go back under.
Right, because it is a high frequency lifestyle what we're talking about, and it's absolutely true what you just said, because you could be living a really high vibe life where everything's clean and bright and you're manifesting and you're aware and your higher consciousness, and all of a sudden you're like, I need a break. And you just want to eat and curl up and just stay in your cave for a while, you know. So sometimes that, you know, and if that, then that's okay. But you'll eventually want to come out more and more and more and just ride that high wave because it's really, really amazing. And your life is so much more abundant. Abundant.
And that analogy is just where it's at. Or put it like this, riding a surfboard. First, a person can't really ride a wave. You'll jump up. So that's what it's dealing with. Pretty soon you can ride a wave longer. But then if you got those guys who, the professionals, they're riding these big, massive waves hanging in there. Those are the professionals. So that's the breatharian journey again. I mean, it's a levels and degrees, but you'll be able to stay on that surfboard a lot longer. That's what it's all about. You can't wait till the next time, even when you fall off. That's why it's no failure. You just can't wait till you go out again. Oh yeah, I'll be back. I'm gonna get back on the board. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and every time you go out, you're gonna be able to jump on that same wave or higher.
So higher, right.
Higher. So don't think if you're on that down flow that you're, oh no, I got to start all over again. No, as soon as you step out of it, as soon as you go back to your old habits of positive thinking, eating lighter or less, fasting, whatever it is, meditating, you're just going to go right back to where you were or higher. Sometimes, in my experience and what I've noticed with my clients, is that when you experience an illness or even a down slope, it's because you're actually receiving an upgrade. It's almost
Absolutely.
it's almost like your body says, okay, I'm going to really go down now so I can rest and receive what I need to. And then when you come out, you're even brighter than you were before. So don't
Oh,
judge
absolutely.
those down slopes. Just think, okay, I need this right now. I'm not going to judge myself, because right there that's negative thinking, judging yourself, right?
This is something that really needs to be talked about, because there's so many people get angry when they start eating again and they hate it and all. And I'm like, you shouldn't feel like that.
Right.
Something's wrong. You're going to have, because we're energy beings, and energy just don't stay going like this. It fluctuates. We do the same thing, even dealing with season changes and stuff. Just people express it differently. So you're going to have seasons where it seems like you have a whole lot of energy, and then there's going to be those seasons where you feel like it's like a contemplation mode, being with yourself mode. That will happen. There's nothing wrong. But my uncle used to say something good, even though we used to laugh about it. He used to say, you know, there's somebody to say, I want to jump on you, you know, he used to box and all of this. And he said, well, you need to go practice falling down before you mess with me. In other words, but that made sense, because learning how to fall down. And I had a buddy that was just in California who's an actor. They was practicing falling down, you know, doing some of the roles they're doing. And I said, that makes sense. And then they're skateboarding, they're learning how to fall. So now this is what makes the journey so good. When you come off of your slope, don't make this hard crash. Practice coming down with it. Enjoy yourself. Have your favorite food or whatever, like we're saying, instead of beating up on yourself. You know how your limits are. But come down, and then when you come back up, that's the upgrade. You learn how to ride the wave, come in and out. This is where wisdom comes in. So it's no losing no more. You're learning how to ride the wave longer, learn how to come down, learn how to fall, get back up. It's fun. You can't wait to get back on it. You shouldn't be beating up on yourself. And I didn't fail, because I had to tell some guy one time, I did 5 days, and then after the 5th day, I failed. I said, that wasn't fail, that was part of the process. He said, huh? Now you see how that perception means everything? That was part of the process.
Oh, let's talk about perception. Oh my gosh. Perception is everything. If you just completely change your perception, everything changes. Not just what you're thinking, but the way you feel. Just knowing one tiny piece of information that you didn't know before can give you either great compassion and joy or deep sorrow and upset. Just with one tiny little perspective shift. It's everything.
Right. That means everything. Your perception. And that post I put on not too long ago on social media was dealing with, you come home, you get a cup of tea, you sit there and in your favorite chair, and then there's silence. Now your perception is going to say you're lonely or you have freedom. That's it right there. It's either loneliness or freedom. How you're looking at it. A lot of people, I see them, they're in this silent mode, but they're looking at themselves as being lonely. They're looking at their world as being dark. But another person is taking it, I was just talking to my friend, they're in freedom. They're sitting there all alone up on the balcony looking at the sky. Total different ballgame.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
man.
And even like when you look at compassion, for example, you can judge someone, right? If someone's acting poorly, let's say, you make a judgment. But if all of a sudden you have a little piece of information, let's say you find out that they're struggling in a specific way, and all of a sudden, oh, that's why they're behaving the way they do. So now you have an understanding, and all of a sudden you go from judgment to compassion. That's
right.
Of course, I'm a big component of unconditional compassion, experiencing compassion whether you know someone's story or not. So that's something you can practice.
Yeah.
It's also about being high vibe. But I'm just using that as an example. If you just have that one little piece of information, it changes everything. So, yeah.
Oh, and I'm glad you just said that about that unconditional compassion. That's something that should ultimately be developed, because believe me, everybody is going through something. Not meaning it's bad, you understand, you know, different vibrations, but everybody is living their life dealing with something as they're trying to grow, as they're coming up. Because the reason I'm saying this so boldly, because I deal with many different people on many different levels of life, And some people, you'll look at their life and say, oh, they really got it going on, really got their stuff together, but there's different things that they're dealing with living their life. So that's why when you understand this, you can start practicing that unconditional compassion. When a person, whatever acting, oh, there's something that they're doing with it. It don't have nothing to do with us.
Right, right. And really truly looking at the other person as yourself. Because if you do, you think, gosh, this person, I might be judging him, I might be upset with them. But if I was in their shoes, how would I want somebody to treat me if I was struggling, right? So always treat people the way
absolutely.
you want to be treated. I mean, that's basic kindergarten level teaching, but it's something that we all focus on, right? Because we don't all do that. So, and this is part of being high vibration. This is part of restructuring the mind. I also want to go back to a point we were making. We were talking about the ups and the downs. We were referring to diet, right? Because that can really affect the brain and the body.
Right.
So even though it's okay to go down with the food and not judge yourself and all of that, it's really important that you are mindful not to go down with your thoughts. Okay? So it's okay if you're like, oh, okay, I've gone up and down with the diet, I'm fine. But if you start thinking negative thoughts, you got to catch yourself right away. Be vigilant, pick yourself back up. It's not okay to go down and then just wallow in negative thinking for a while. You know,
exactly.
Don't be hard on yourself. Don't judge yourself if you do that, but recognize it as soon as you can and say, oh, okay, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to start thinking the opposite. I'm going to start being more optimistic. So that you need to be vigilant on for sure.
And I was just talking to a person too, and that's important too. You know, this just dealing with the different things in life that people could run into. Everybody's dealing with something where it could be more of a shocker. So I was telling the guy, it's okay to cry about whatever, but don't stay there crying too long. And then when I said that to him, he said, whoa, it's been 4 years. That much time he took crying about that situation that he just met me. But when I said that to him, that clicked something. Don't stay crying too long. And he had been crying too long, and that's what he noticed. It's time to get over it, time to pick up the pieces. You got a whole life to live. You're living in life. You're in nature. Every day unfolds differently. This is more than just a motivational speech. This is the truth.
Right.
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 Just don't stay there crying. That's like a suicide, a slow suicide.
I know, it's not living
Get these energies, they're in your favor. You're working with them.
Yeah, if you've noticed that you're in a cycle where you're thinking the same thoughts about...
Oh, say that again?
Oh, can you hear me all right? Yeah. So if you're in the same cycle where you're thinking the same thoughts of a trauma or something that happened to you in your past, whether it's from childhood or last year, if it goes on too long, and too long is more than just a couple of hours, but if you've been thinking of it for years, then you really have to start being thoughtful in terms of rewiring the script, because that right there will predict your whole future and your current situation now. So this is what we're talking about with really putting in the work. This is work. Repositioning your mind here. This is like going to the gym every day and working out, except it's different because we think all day long. So you have to be really conscious of what you're thinking and catch it when it's negative, catch it when it's an old script that you've been playing forever. Catch that.
Oh man, that's something, isn't it? And see, this is another thing where I think people need to hear is people don't know how beautiful they are. Oh man.
And how powerful.
And what's happening is, like that, going back to that young man, and there's many other people I've been meeting who got this thing they call a low self-esteem or a low version of how they're looking at themselves. And dealing with perception, I think a person got to learn to look at themselves differently. And what makes it bad is time is not going to quit. They're sitting up there and don't like themselves. So there's this self-hate going on. So you're not taking care of yourself on a real high level because you don't even like yourself. And then what happens is when time goes past and you really changed and got older, you're going to be looking at that image that you didn't care about and saying, I did look good. I was beautiful, but you already lost that image. And I see a lot of people allowing that to happen, and I have to step in and say, don't let that happen. You're beautiful now. You got to start looking at yourself differently. And don't get, when we say beauty, don't be looking at the Miss American pageant. That's just the world's thing that they're put together of what's supposed to be beauty. That don't have nothing to do with it. So many people is overlooking themselves, and this is why it makes it hard when we talk about the Breatharian journey. You know, of course they try to fast their way into it, but we're talking about really changing your thoughts, really taking care of yourself at a higher level. And if you don't like yourself, that's going to be challenging to do.
Right. So the new mantra is, I love myself. The new mantra is, I am a breatharian. The new mantra is, I am a light being. The new mantra is, whatever is the opposite of what's holding you back, right? So why don't you take a look at your thoughts and say, what are the underlying thoughts that I think about myself? Maybe it's, I'm not worthy. If that's the program that you're running, then your new mantra should be, I am worthy. I am worthy.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So take a look at whatever thought you have that's holding you back and flip it. And that's your new mantra. And you can use that with your character flaws. So let's say you're the kind of person who's selfish, or you have a hard time giving and you feel like you want to hang on to stuff. So if that's where you are, then your new mantra is, I am generous. I am generous. And as you say that, you'll start feeling like you can let go of some of this, you know. So just pay attention to your thoughts. What are you fundamentally thinking about yourself and about the world? Oh, the world. We're, you know, it's 2020 and it's going to be a bad year. Well, if that's the way you're thinking, that's what you're creating. And I know, Elitom, you and I were talking about the other day, it's like all these memes are out now and the jokes, 2020 is going to be a bad year. Well, if that's what you feel truly, you're going to make it a bad year. And collectively, collective consciousness is going to make it a bad year. And so far the year has been what it is because of the collective consciousness. So it's really being vigilant. Anytime, like I said earlier, anytime you think a limiting thought, I'm not worthy, the world is, it is what it is, flip it and make that your new mantra. Make that your affirmation diet until it is ingrained in you and you are living freaking limitlessness.
Right.
Because that's where you create, and that's how you live in a heaven on earth, a paradise on earth. We can each and every one of us right now have a utopic world, because our world starts within. It's in our body. It's in our minds. Our consciousness creates our world.
Absolutely.
The world you live in, Elitom, is very different than the world someone else lives in.
Oh, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Totally different.
Because you are your world.
You are your world.
This is your world. Your brain is your world.
Coming right from here. This is what we're dealing with.
Right.
Wow. Now listen at this. We're energy beings. I like how you started out saying that, you know, by really looking at yourself differently. So our job, since energy loves to move, energy loves to vibrate. That's its nature. And our job is to break up blockages. Now that's one thing we understand, is to keep the energy flowing. But the hard part is noticing that it's a blockage.
Right.
Now here we go. So I just had a friend and they said I could share this. They own this nice corporation, you know, got a lot going on there. But they're making these, they want to make these videos really promoting it a lot more. So they're going to do the talking and stuff like this. Now I look at them as being this outgoing person and is good at what you're doing. But as we're really ready to make the videos and we're ready to talk about the product, they said something that they did not see that they were worthy to teach that type of business knowledge. And I couldn't believe it was coming from them. But they said it and they caught themselves. That program was in them, but it took that to come out, that they still had this program running in them that they wasn't worthy. They wasn't the one that able to do that. And that was really something that we caught that. You know, they caught it, I caught it. They know a lot about this knowledge already that we're talking about, but that just goes to show you that even when we're in our day-to-day experiences of what we're talking, something will come up and you'll say, oh, that was a blockage. I just limited myself. Wow. And that's what we're doing all the time.
And that's right there with the perspective shift too.
Mm-hmm.
You may not even realize, like you said, you have these blocks or these little operating systems, and this is the way you're thinking. You may not even realize it until someone points it out, or all of a sudden you have like an epiphany or an aha moment. As soon as that happens, boom, your perspective, your perception has shifted. And then
It shifted.
Out of it.
And luckily, this person I was working with, that's why they let me share it. They saw it. They started working with it. And now guess what? They're doing it. You know, because they're the go-getter. But they had to see it first. It came out of them. Even if we don't admit something, sometimes there's something else that'll force it out. But for you to catch it, that's where you got to really be vigilant at. Oh, this is so good.
And I also want to say that as soon as you notice that you have this old script running, it's not really that worthwhile to go back and analyze the script and analyze why it happened and all of that. And I know a lot of like the, you know, modern psychology and everything will have you talk about the past and relive it and try to understand it, wrap your brain around it. That's really not the way you heal anymore.
Right.
I guess there's some value in that, but really it's about energetics and rising above it. Because when you're analyzing the past, you're always in the past, you're thinking about the past, whether it's from a perspective of, oh, I'm going to heal this by looking at it. If you're in it, you're in it. You're energetically in it again. And then you're creating the same energy of it and you're reliving it. And then you're emanating that which you're trying to break free of. And you can't always understand everything with our minds. Sometimes we literally just have to rise above it with our energy.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Oh my God. And going back to these brains again, they are really phenomenal. That's why I said it's a phenomenal part of nature. It is bringing in so much information we don't even consciously realize it or the work is doing. That's why on one level, sleep is good. Sleep gives you a chance to what? Cool down, at least, so the brain can process what you just went through throughout the day. Now, that's one level.
Oh, there's studies that are showing that your brain continues to work even while you're sleeping.
Yeah, it never shuts off.
It never shuts off. In fact, you're even better at problem solving when you're asleep than when you're awake. No, this is true, because when you're awake, you're running these habitual programs. And I think there was a video I recently saw. I think maybe you even sent it to me, Elitom. If I can find it, I will link it in this video. But it says, we do best when we're on autopilot. You know, when you drive home from work and you don't even pay attention to the drive, but somehow you magically got home. That's us functioning on autopilot. Our brain works really well on that, but we actually do really well problem solving when we're asleep. You can utilize that. So don't think, oh, I'm just going to go unconscious when I sleep. Before you go to sleep, program yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow brighter, lighter, more positive, whatever it is you want to program yourself for. Make that statement, that intention before you go to sleep. And I guarantee you will, because your brain will process that in your sleep and it will happen.
Oh, absolutely. It's processing all of this stuff. Even here in India, of course, I'm trying to learn Hindi, or I'm learning Hindi. There we go.
Right.
And I'll be struggling with a word, but sleeping on it and waking up, the brain processed it. It's doing so much for us. So that's why, again, on this journey of living on prana, bringing more prana into the body, where you keep working this, not just in your conscious state, when you're asleep at night, because keep in mind, you're fasting when you sleep. The body's clear. And whatever work you were doing on yourself that day, the body's processing it still. It did not shut down. The brain is doing all of that good stuff. It's an awesome tool, and we're learning how to use it. Not to overlook it no more, but to use it.
Right.
There's even physical things you can do for the brain. Like I was saying, I've been massaging my scalp a lot, you know, because your brain is sitting in fluid. It got all these 4 different blood arteries going up in there. It requires all of this blood. Now listen at this when we say the brain needs this energy. And sometimes people are still thinking on an invisible level. Your hemoglobin or your blood is energy. It attracts light to it. So therefore, what you eat and all this other stuff, and you got this blood flow going through the body, you want to send the best supply of blood to the brain as possible. You have control of it. I mean, the thickness, the color, and everything of your blood changes on what you eat, what you put into your body. So you're sending a better supply of blood, a better supply of fuel. That's what you're doing. Oh man, this gets good. So we can make it clear. It's more than just the invisible force. The den is sitting in 73% water. Now keep that in mind. So the main reason a person sleeps is so the brain could detoxify itself. It picked up so much information, it needs to recharge itself. So you'll sleep less when the blood is a lot cleaner and the fluid the brain is sitting in is a lot cleaner. That just comes with the territory. It don't need to recharge that much. It's charged up. So all of this is good, but you let yourself go through these processes as your body keeps changing. But this is high level maintenance. There was this one woman not too long ago. She said, I'm high maintenance. Now I know what she's saying out in the world because she put on the fingernails and the new shirt. But in reality, she wasn't high maintenance. I was looking at what she was eating.
Mm. That reminds me, the other day when we were talking and I said, you know what breatharians are? We are self-care extremists.
Yeah. Right.
That's what we are. So become a self-care extremist. It means you put top of your priority, your meditation, your exercise, your positive thinking, your good healthy eating or fasting, eating lighter, thinking lighter, being lighter, programming yourself before you go to sleep. Because you know what? Like you mentioned, Elitom, your brain isn't all that fluid. Guess what? Fluid is programmable.
Yeah, it is.
Water is programmable. So our brain is floating in a programmable substance. Our molecules, everything in our body is filled with fluid. We even did a talk on this about us being crystalline liquid beings, right? Our whole body is programmable. So what are you programming yourself with? Is it an unconscious thought from something that happened to you 20 years ago? Or is it a conscious thought about what you want to be right now and what you want to create? And never forget that this right here is your world. This is your universe. This is your whole thing right in here. And it all starts here. It goes into your body. And then from there, you create it in the world around you. So what kind of world do you want to live in here and out around you? This is so awesome. Oh man, self-care. Say that one more time. Self-care extremists. Hours a day goes into self-care. If you can carve that out, you know, and the more you're on this path, the more you realize you want to, and it become your world kind of aligns so you can. I tell you that. Right. And see, there was a good book out too that came out. Well, there's a whole lot of them because dealing with metaphysics, they were talking for a long time that the physical body is literally the temple, and they were showing how different, lot of speakers in the past was doing that. And India became famous too because they had a lot of speakers talking about the sacredness of the body and talking how this is what it means and this and that. But anyway, there was a book called The 12 Powers of Man, and that was basically talking about the 12 cranial centers in the brain. It went straight there, dealing with our optic, our olfactory nerves and all of this. All this stuff really opened up at one time. And believe me, your life would change. And like we said, especially when it got that positive program, you could do anything. You can create a world, be doing things that is just incredible when we understand this great phenomenon in nature. We are nature. This is more than just philosophy. We're talking not at all. This is the sciences. Really start living it and giving it a chance and see what you can do. Yes. So program yourself. I need less food. I don't need any food. I can live off sunlight and air and energy and my own positive thoughts. I can live off my own positive thoughts. Can you imagine if you can live off your own thoughts? This is awesome. Imagine if your thoughts are fuel. do you want to be eating negative thoughts or positive thoughts? Like,
And that's one of the meditation mantras on the Breatharian journey is basically, you know, filling your whole body as you're sitting there and telling your body you're commanding it to get everything it needs, its nutrition and everything it needs from other sources.
mm-hmm.
It's just a flip of perception.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you keep working with this, the more you're going to start functioning differently. You get used to start living this new high vibe. Our skin is doing something. You know, we got basically 10 different systems in the body, you know, give and take. Some is basically under different names. But all of these systems are interconnected with one another, you know, for the main goal for you to be a self-sufficient being. So there's only two systems that deals with energy to fuel the rest of them. That's the respiratory system. Our breathing is very powerful in what it's doing for the body, and our digestive system. And our digestive system is just dealing with, now listen at this, energy and nutrition. Energy and nutrition. Now that word nutrition throws a lot of people off. They want to go into the minerals, the vitamins. Well, that came with this knowledge of this civilization. But nutrition has a whole nother value as you're dealing with that, because you got so many resources that your body is already making. It is incredible. Oh my gosh. Now, of course, there's things in your body because your body is always fighting, how should we say, different viruses, your immune system. That's happening in the atmosphere. We don't live in this crystal clean atmosphere, but your body's made for it. It knows how to get the right combination of the white blood cells to get rid of different things. So your digestive system don't need to be used at the dense level it's being used at now, dealing with all that feces, dealing with all that urine over and over again. It could be used at another level that, say for instance, if there's smoke, like in California, your body will digest that. Mm-hmm. It's getting through the skin, it's getting through the breath, it's getting in the lungs. Your body's going to digest that. Many different ways to get rid of it.
It's really amazing. So talking about nutrition, there was a time in my life where I took my calories really low, right? Like maybe 100, 200 calories a day. And I noticed that my body was fine.
Right.
My hair grew, my nails grew, my skin looked clear and great. Like I looked great. And then I went back to eating a lot. Guess what happened?
Right.
My nails became brittle and they broke, the skin erupted, like I just looked awful. Wow. So if you think that eating more or having more nutrition is fueling the body, that's not actually true.
That's not true.
You can get the nutrition that you need from eating almost nothing or nothing.
That's where it's at.
And there's no way proving this scientifically because we don't have the proof yet, but just check it with your body. If you have that belief system that yes, I am being fed in other ways, you are, and your body actually knows how to regulate itself. But if you're putting a lot of, you know, junk food in your body or any kind of food that's just overly done, your body will start really struggling.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like and see, this is good too, because how should we say this? Like Jericho Sunfire back in the day says something like, if food gave you, you know, that much energy, an overweight person will have a lot of energy. I mean, it's just at a dense level. Somebody just asked me at a party a couple of days ago, don't I miss eating, as they was eating and everything? And I said, no. The state I'm in now, that will actually take away from my energy. That's where it's at now. You know, once you get to a certain level, that will take away. I can't even imagine. And it's too heavy. Your body got to deal with it. You don't even want to put yourself through it. Right now, the power is incredible. My body really feels good. It's really energetic. Everything's pumping. The heart is where it's supposed to be at. The systems is where it's supposed to be at. This feels great. When you get used to this feeling, you don't want to compromise it no more. You're set. So this is what we're talking about. But to get here again, I've been on this and make it look easy. All you have to do is stay consistent till you get used to this new feeling and you really grow up to stay there. Your body will fully have the memo where it won't suck in and you won't lose too much weight and stuff like that. it will stagnate itself. But you have to get it there first. Now, another thing I want to bring up is that lymphatic system. We've been talking about that. Because a lot of people try to fast their way to breatharianism, and it seems like it don't work at all because they're losing too much weight and stuff like this. But the lymphatic system, it's a drainage system, and it drains itself through movement. So when a person is just trying to fast their way into there, they're going to get weak. So they're sitting there on the couch or the bed or something, thinking they're going to make this crossover. The lymphatic system is still sitting there saying, what about me? It needs to be drained. So that's why bringing exercise back into the ball game is very, very important. And exercise is so powerful, it will take you there a lot more smoothly, and you don't need to even rush it. You'll come there being stronger. You can mold the body just where you want it and all this good stuff. Now, just because you exercise don't mean you're going to lose weight. I just had a buddy here who's biking, and she said, I was so depressed because I gained a pound or gained a kilo. Well, I said, just because you're exercising or riding a bike don't mean you're going to lose weight. Losing weight comes through your food intake.
Exactly.
Whoa,
exactly. I was in the weight loss industry for 14 years. I know that one. You
right.
can exercise all you want, but if you don't change your diet, you're probably not going to lose a lot of weight. You really will have to start lowering those calories and being more mindful and eating more clean. You know.
That's why esoteric knowledge of diet and exercise combined is where it was very powerful. And those were the first initiations of spirituality. Now listen at this. In the society now, exercise is being promoted a lot more since the 80s and all of this, you know, exercise, getting out there. But exercise is actually ancient, but only certain people had it in different circles. Humanity didn't really need it back then, I should say, because you had more of a, how should I say, that was for the privilege of esoteric knowledge, because you could do exercises that could target certain places in the body to bring forth more energy. Now, we take exercise for granted now because it's here given to everybody. But if you understood how powerful it is to bring more energy to different places in the body and to clean the body and to change the wiring in the brain, this is very powerful technique.
Yeah. And it keeps you strong while you're on the breatharian process. So it's one of the 4 pillars of breatharianism, which is something that Elitom and I teach in our retreats. So exercise is huge. If you just fast, you're going to wither away. You have to be combining your fasting, your eating lighter with exercise, and that powers the brain. Science has shown if people who have dementia and Alzheimer's, you know, exercise helps the brain. When I had my own brain injury last year from a car accident, exercise, going on rigorous walks, whatever that is for you, that will activate and heal the brain. And it keeps you strong and it keeps your energy going. You really do need to exercise, and whatever that is. You know what the best kind of exercise is? The kind that you enjoy. Whatever it is,
there we go.
You're going to do it every day. Whether it's a neighborhood walk.
Challenge the heart.
What's that?
I said challenge the heart. Get that heart pumping.
Yeah.
There we go. Get the blood circulating. This is what we want. That's the breatharian journey. Get it circulating. Open it up. Clean the lymphatic system. We want all of that to grow. And muscle stores energy. Glycogen, I believe that's called. But it stores energy. This is what we want. You got 3 different types of muscles around the body. Even in the spinal cord, you got muscles. You want to get all of that to store the energy. See, the brain uses energy. We've been talking about the brain, but it does not have a place to store it. This is where the body has to come into play. You need a body to match the brain so they can work together.
Well said.
Oh, man.
And then you hold it all together with your thoughts, because your thoughts are what's creating the body and the brain. So if your thoughts are, oh, I'm weak, or I need this, or I'm bummed out about that or whatever it is, right, then it's going to really kind of slow down everything. So your mind is the control system for the body, the brain, everything. You can use your mind to send energy to your brain to activate it. You can send your mind to send energy to your digestive system, so you turn your digestive system into an energy battery instead of a sewage system for food. Right? You get to choose, and it's all up here.
And every system in the body is going to get affected. Everyone. It's going to bring more energy flow, more prana flow. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, on what it can do. But all you have to do. Oh, go ahead.
In a lot of the Tao and in Qigong, you have these practices where you smile at each organ. You know that one? It's a beautiful technique. Guess how you're smiling at your organs? You're using your brain. You're using your imagination, your visualization. It all starts up here. So you can visualize. It all
starts up there.
The whole body. You can smile at it. You love it. It all starts up here. So really start working out your brain.
Yeah, this is what it sounds. But I like how you said that. When you work out, it's not the physical body. You're working on your brain.
And it doesn't stop. Even if you have other emotions that you feel like might be low, like fear or, I don't know, upsetness, you go through that emotion because that's natural. But if you're thinking in your mind, okay, no, this is what's actually happening, then you're going to burn through that emotion really fast to be able to put it aside and come back to a state of balance and peace. So it's with your thought process, you change everything.
Absolutely. And then look at this. Because some people, they get things and they don't really comprehend how you got to put it in the whole package. Let me say this right. Now, the brain on that visualization is very powerful. The body really don't know fantasy from fiction. It's just taking orders. And we're programming it. Here we go again. And they do got things where you can actually think about running all the way through, and your heart rate will change, different hormones will change because the body thinks it's running. And they also got things if you're lifting weights, if you focus on a muscle, it'll grow faster. And that's what yoga's trying to tell you too. When you're been in a certain place on the body, put your mind there. Wherever the mind goes, the energy goes, the blood goes. You're moving things physically inside the body. Now, and they also got, you can gain muscle just by thinking about it, thinking about working out. But let's take it a step further. Not only you're thinking about it, also do it. Manifest it. You have bigger results. This is what we want to say, because sometimes I tell people that, and I just went to a guy's house. I've been thinking about what you've been doing. I've been doing affirmations, and I've been thinking about working out. All right. Now, he's seen my body change, just from the week we haven't been together, because not only I'm thinking about it, I'm doing it.
Right.
He just wanted to think about it and wanted those same results. And I'm saying, wait a minute.
It might be a little slower.
It's a little slower, right?
There's a video I'm going to link underneath this video, and it's a motivational video, and it's really powerful. And there's a little clip in it where Jim Carrey talks about how he, manifested his wealth and his success in the movie industry. And he said, you still have to put in the work. He said, I had that thought that I was going to manifest all this money, but you can't just think that and then go eat a sandwich. You have to actually go put in the work.
Right.
So, and I can give you an example of that. So just a couple days ago or last week, we were socked in with so much smoke from the fires, couldn't even open the window. And you know me, I love nature. I love fresh air, and not being able to be out in it with clean air and all of that was really bumming me out. And I started thinking, gosh, I feel like I'm in a prison. And then I thought, oh no, I got to get that thought out of my head. So instead I changed my perception, perspective. And I said, no, I'm going to take time like I would a retreat, and I'm going to meditate, right? I'm going to say, this is now my cave and it's sacred, and I'm going to utilize my time. And as soon as I shifted that perspective, I loved being inside, and I spent all that time by myself meditating and generating all this positive energy, and it changed everything. And guess what happened? Sky cleared up immediately.
Big time.
Immediately.
So this goes for
out now. It's great.
Right. This goes for our last message, and people really can understand it. It all starts here, but we're so connected. Like, that's why we, on this message, we're pointing at the physical brain. This hardware, this great phenomenon in nature. Then you start spreading to your whole body. You start finding out it's one. Then you start finding out your reality.
Everything around
is you.
Yes.
It's all you.
Yes.
This really gets good. This is where the magic comes in at.
Right. Yeah. As soon as I started enjoying where I was and the whole process and just let go to it, all of a sudden the skies got clear. And they're not clear all the time, but they're clear enough to go out here and there. And it's amazing.
Right.
And I know that my perspective shifted a lot of that.
Their perspective. And see, that means everything.
And the
perspective means everything.
Yeah, the more powerful you are, the more you develop yourself, the more you do affect everything around you.
Absolutely.
Or
and this training will really become second nature. Big time. And those expectations, we got work to do. Expectations, just get that out the way.
Yes.
Look at your situation and say, this is the best situation I'm supposed to be in right now. See where it fits in and work with it. You'd be surprised how you start developing so fast. Oh man, so fast. This is so good.
So fast. Oh my gosh, there's so many things we could say about this, but we have said a lot. And I think
we have
a time for people to just really let this sink in and embrace it for yourselves. But think about doing your physical exercise, what you do that maybe an hour or two a day or 10 minutes or whatever that is. But the exercise you do on your mind, that's got to be all day long. It never stops.
Yeah, it is.
You always have to pay attention to that.
Never stop, because the brain never sleeps. And check this out. Even when you sleep, the body never sleeps. Your heart don't say, I'm asleep now. Let me stop beating.
Right.
Everything working. We really don't sleep. You're at rest mode. You're recharging.
Right, right.
Never stop.
The only thing that goes to sleep is your thinking mind, you know, but that'll show up in your dreams. So if you have a rough night of sleep or nightmares, think, well, what was I thinking about right before that? Where is my mind right now? You know, how can I clean that up so my thoughts and my dreams can be more peaceful? And
this is where it's all at. So this is the great work. See, the Breatharian journey, like we're saying, so it can really make be down to earth for everybody. Really practical. This is what it's all about. You're working on yourself at what you say, an extreme, that word you said before.
Self-care extremists.
Self-care extremists. Yeah. That's what you're doing. And I know somebody said, well, don't that seem kind of selfish? Well, yeah. But not in a negative way. This is a good selfishness, if you want to say that. Yeah. Yourself first. When you take care of yourself, you can help more people and you can help the world at large. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. And there's nothing selfish in that. Actually, the more you develop yourself, the more of a beacon of light you are on this planet. And it's actually, in my opinion, the most selfless thing you can do, even though you are taking time out for yourself. But you have more of you to give, and the quality of what you're giving is higher.
Absolutely. This is so good. Oh my gosh. What a wonderful world.
Oh, yay. It's so wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Change your perspective. Pay attention to what your affirmations are that you're feeding yourself. All of them. And send your energy.
This is so good.
Yeah, like we were talking about at the beginning of the video. Think about your brain. Send your consciousness to different regions of your brain. Lighten it up. Meditate. Feel that brain activate. It's powerful.
It's powerful. And that's what it's all about. It's all up here. So let's take care of it. Let's go back home. This is the home. And watch your home. Let's redecorate it. Refurbish it. Yeah. All that good stuff.
Exactly. Love it. Beautiful. Well,
love
thank
y'all
you
once again.
Yeah, we love you. Bye.